thank you for joining us. A little Christmas spirit rolled into Thunder Bay this evening with the arrival of the CP holiday train. The train was greeted by an enthusiastic crowd of hundreds at the CP depot on Syndicate Avenue. Thunder Bay is one of dozens of stops for the train across North America. Country artist Madeline Monroe and pop singer Scott Hellman gave musical performances from stage built into one of the cars. The visit got rave reviews from children in attendance.
What do you think is the best part of the holiday train?
The concert part. Well, you would see people in the windows and them waving, so it's pretty sick actually.
On top of spreading Christmas cheer, the holiday train is also a fundraiser for local food banks. The Regional Food Distribution Association says they received well over a ton of non-perishable food items, as well as a $13,000 donation from CP Rail. The first report on Thunder Bay's program and service review will be presented to City Council tomorrow evening. Officials with the Grant Thornton, the company tasked with conducting the review, will update councillors on Phase 1 of the project. They'll provide their overview of the 446 programs and services offered by the city. They're also expected to identify which of those areas should be subject to farther scrutiny as part of Phase 2 of the review. Phase 2 is expected to be finished in June of next year. The Phase 1 report will be made available to the public through the city's website. Also on Monday, councillors will hear about some potential issues related to a proposed multi-use trail bridge at Vickers and Carrick Street. And Northwood councillor Shelby Chung wants the city to supply free menstrual products at libraries and rec centers. Construction is underway on a brand new supportive housing complex on Lake Helen First Nation. The facility, like others, is a larger center, will allow for elders within the communities with mobility issues or other needs the ability to downsize from a larger home into a smaller apartment-like setting. Red Rock Indian Band Chief Marcus Hardy says the complex will consist of 6 units. He says while the current need in the community isn't much at this time, they are trying to think ahead for the future.
As people get older and family moves away, their kids are older, they have their own families, they're left in a big home, maybe, and they get lonely or what have you, right? The Elders Complex will be able to have a facility on our reserve that the elders can share with other people, that we could visit, we can maintain relationships.
Hardy says construction is expected to be complete in time for a grand opening next summer. Skiers and snowboarders were back in action at Mount Baldy this weekend for a slightly earlier start to the season. Ian Kaufman has the story.
Hundreds of people eagerly hit the slopes over the first weekend of skiing at Mount Baldy. Daniel Cardis is a co-owner of the hill along with his 2 brothers. He says snow crews were working hard to open the hill a few weeks earlier than average.
We said we had to do it, and we did it yesterday. We opened up, and look at today. It's a beautiful day. How could you go wrong? Parking lot's packed, and people are having a blast.
Skiers had access to the Gold Run and Terrain Park this weekend, and though the weather hasn't been ideal, Cardis says they've been making snow for weeks and expect to open more runs soon.
It's been warm, but we're lucky we have these Lenco snow guns that actually make mass amount of snow in this weather. As you can see up the hill, they're still blasting, and it's warm outside. I'm in my shirt, so I'll go push those around in a bit, and hopefully next weekend we'll have some more runs open.
The hill's new quad chairlift won't be installed until spring, but in the meantime, skiers can ride the T-bar to the top or hop in one of 3 snow taxis, which can carry up to 6 people at a time. Ian Kaufman, TBT News.
For many middle school students, the jump to high school has been one of the most anticipated moments for their lives. In the hopes of making that transition an easy one, a number of Westgate High School students met with 8th graders from Westmount Public School to offer up some helpful advice. 75 soon-to-be high schoolers eagerly awaited for 14 first-year Westgate students to lend their first-hand experience of secondary school. The meeting was the first of Westmount's speed transition sessions to give students a chance to ask about class size, difficulty, and schedules. Student Success Lead Michelle Furlow helps kids with their journey to secondary school, and she says sessions like these can play a large role in their educational and social development.
I felt pretty good about going into high school, but I know that there's a lot of students that struggle with that transition or are nervous about it. So I just think it's another opportunity for them to ask questions.
The first couple of weeks are confusing, but it's easy because my drama teacher calls it the honeymoon, because it's just like you just flow through it.
You don't want to go into high school like blind, not knowing anything. So I think them coming in and like telling us how we can be good in high school and be successful is very helpful.
Each table took students through a number of different aspects of high school. School officials added that 8th graders will also have an opportunity to visit Westgate Collegiate later in the school year. Starting this weekend, things are expected to be very busy in Nipigon as curling is expected to return to the town's curling club after some much-needed repairs. It will also be home to the town's newest restaurant, which all plays into the Nipigon's push to keep tourism dollars flowing in the off-season. Adam Riley has the details.
Curling is an integral part of this community, and obviously we have a real history with curling, with a lot of champions, a lot of well-known curlers coming out of our community, and this is something that we did not want to lose.
Coming off a very successful men's and women's curling playdowns earlier this year, the town of Nipigon is bringing curling back to the town, but this time at the Nipigon Curling Club. Last year, issues with the club's compressor forced play over to the nearby arena. But according to Mayor Richard Harvey, that won't be a problem anymore.
It was older, it was inefficient, and we have been successful in getting funding to help us with replacing the compressor. And what that means is it's going to be a lot cheaper and a lot more efficient to be operating that side of the building.
Just under $50,000 in funding for the compressor came through the Ontario Trillium Foundation, with the town picking up the remaining amount for the $55,000 project. But that isn't the only change happening at the club, as a new business venture will be opening up under the leadership of a well-known local entrepreneur.
Everyone calls him Krabby Andy, and so Krabby Andy is going to be taking over the actual restaurant, and well, it hasn't previously been a restaurant, but the canteen, what was the canteen and the bar at the curling club, and will be running basically as starting up a sports bar and grill.
Andrew St. Jean already runs the canteen operations out of the Nipigon Arena and was a little apprehensive about expanding his business. But the recent developments with the compressor have eased his concerns and believes his new bar and grill could be very popular in town.
But now that there's money going into the curling club with the plant, and possibly the membership of curling will get larger, school curling, youth curling, they're going to promote that quite a bit. So we can see the facility being used a lot more, and then with us here too, we're hoping just through social media to get more and more people here.
Adam Riley, TBT News.
After months of public consultations and surveys, the City of Dryden has unveiled its new corporate brand to the world. In June, stakeholders gathered to start looking at a new brand strategy for the city that would work with the updated master plan. Now, 6 months later, this is the new look and message the city has to greet visitors and market itself to the outside world. Economic Development Manager Tyler Peacock says the city's website has already been updated with the new logo, and other elements that still have the old logo will be phased out and replaced over the coming months.
We have two major entrance signs at each end of our community that are going to be updated as well to reflect our new brand. Business cards, Facebook, social media, Instagram, all of those kinds of things will all be updated with it. And once we start advertising outside of Dryden, our brand will be in there as well. And I'm excited to share that Blaze Your Trail message.
Another reason for the new logo, according to Peacock, was to bring the city's brand and image to 2019 and beyond standards. Thunder Bay played host to some of Canada's strongest arms this weekend. Hundreds of people packed into the Wayland Bar and Grill in Westford on Saturday night for the Slamfest arm wrestling competition. It's an event sanctioned by the Canadian Arm Wrestling Federation, and with $5,000 in cash prizes on the line, the competition was fierce. Samantha Bellevue was the women's class winner. She has a background as a strength athlete, but it was her first time arm wrestling competitively.
I know it's very technical, so I was really fortunate this afternoon to meet up with a gang from Thunder Bay at our local gym, and they kind of went briefly around a few techniques and stuff just to make sure that, one, I don't get injured, but I do it properly.
We have a lot of the veterans here, world champions, runner-ups in the world, and they teach the young kids the techniques of the sport,
Wayland owner Gary Palucci was a former arm wrestler himself. He says the sport is growing in popularity in Thunder Bay. A small group meets every Tuesday at his bar to practice and show newcomers the rope. This was the 5th year the Wayland has hosted the Slam Fest. Awkward. Anyway, I think for sure one of us will be there next year.
You had me beat. I was
year.
really nervous. Next year, I might go lefty next year. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. A story that could have been in sports, but I just loved it so much it had to stay in news tonight.
Got to stay in news. Got to stay in news. Great segue, though, because we had other sports going on over the weekend, and the Lakehead basketball team